Hi everybody, Captain Al speaking. Welcome to the subsonic flight training course familiarization for class number 2 and going forward. We completed class number 1 from January of 2023 to June of 2023. And this will be the course announcement for the 747-400, 747-8 for the FTD PCFS training going forward. So who am I? I'm Captain Al. I retired from a 44-year career in aviation. I've been a flight instructor, charter pilot, regional airline pilot, international flag carrier airline pilot, captain, instructor, pilot, check airman, and FAA examiner. I have over 30,000 hours, 14,000 are flight hours, and 16,000 hours plus are training and checking in a level D simulator. For both airline training and manufacturer training. I have type ratings on the 747-400, 747-8, 787, 757, 767, A320, and SD3, short 330, and 360. This is what I currently do. I do business as Alp Capital. I've been an equities and index option trader for the last 20 years. In 2021, following COVID, I established IRS trader tax status, made the mark-to-market election, and I'm governed under IRS Section 475F as a trading business. Subsonic Flight Training was a channel that I developed on YouTube in 2017. I designed it primarily for flight simmers, aviation enthusiasts, and real-world pilots. The mission statement, the goal was to increase the knowledge of the 747-400 and the 747-8, expanding enjoyment of interacting and understanding a modern airline flight deck as far as procedures and operations go, and of course for the sole purpose of having fun. There are many virtual pilots out there that like to fly online airline type airplanes. Some aviation enthusiasts also may be interested in my channel because just to learn more about the 747. And I actually get a fair amount of actual real-world pilots, including 747 pilots. In December of 2022, we introduced the FTD PCFS live stream training. And now that Class 1 is over, we're introducing the FTD PCFS on-demand training. This is the live streams that were converted to recorded and edited versions of what I did in the live stream. And so it eliminates most of the uhs and the ohs and the ums and the silence in between, perhaps changing screens, and makes it a little bit of a smoother production. And I'm going through the videos at this time to even make it more refined. The goal is to bring airline level training to the PC flight simulator community and to anybody that desires this type of training. There are two options. One is the on-demand Patreon membership option, and the second option is a one-time purchase option with a price discounted Discord access. Discord access is included with the Patreon membership. The on-demand Patreon membership will have one level or one tier of a Patreon membership, and that is the full captain level or CA. In the past, we had 3 tiers. We had the full captain, CA, cruise captain, CC, and first officer, FO. We did not have any members in the cruise captain or the FO tiers, so I decided to eliminate those tiers and just have one tier only, and that is the full captain tier in the Patreon membership. The full captain tier will have the airline level flight training program, or FTD PCFS training course for the 747, with Discord access for all the digital course materials, access to all channels within Discord, access to any new content that comes out, access to the community members, to asking questions of each other or of me and receiving answers, student videos, and all the other channels that are on the SSFT SoC server. What this is not, it's not any sort of technical computer assistance on the platform, such as P3D or FSX or Microsoft FS 2000. It's not any specific recommendation of any kind of models, such as PMDG or Aerowinks or iFly or any of the other models that are out there, like Flight Simulator, Microsoft. And it's not about computer problems of any kind, because I'm not the expert in those particular areas. But what it will be about is all training on the 747-400 and the 747-8. Why Patreon? It's a membership service that has a more effective, organized, methodical means of providing the airline level course syllabus of training for those flight simmers, virtual pilots, aviation enthusiasts, or actual real-world pilots who desire this type of airline pilot training. The three categories: flight simmers, it always amazes me, and this is primarily who this was designed for. It always amazes me how many serious flight simmers are out there. They take it seriously. They generally will want and desire more training and understanding of the airplane that leads to more enjoyment for them when they know more about the airplane that they're flying. So they are a very devoted group of online virtual pilots. Aviation enthusiasts, some folks just want to know more about aviation technically, and I can understand this because I always wanted to be an astronaut, and so I will gravitate toward real astronauts who provide knowledge. I live vicariously through the astronauts who are doing it right now and who have been on the space station. And then the third group is real-world pilots. This group probably surprised me the most. I didn't expect to have many real-world pilots, but I actually have quite a few that have migrated to watch my videos online, and they have provided feedback on my channel. I have several also in the course at this time, and many of them have used my videos for either review or preparation prior to their 747 airline training course, and expressed thanks for the preparation as they go on to their careers on the 747 for various airlines, whether they be passenger or freighter. The Patreon membership levels, again, the training is called the FTD PCFS 747 training. That stands for Flight Training Device, Personal Computer Flight Simulation for the 747. This is the type of airline training that is accomplished prior to getting in a full flight simulator, level D simulator, and then that simulator would provide the actual flight training. The type of training that we're doing here is accomplished normally in a device that has no motion and no visual, and basically teaches procedures. And then once you get into the full flight simulator, it's no different than getting into the actual airplane and doing the maneuvers that are required to learn prior to your check ride and prior to going out on your initial operating experience as you go out on the line. This is what a flight training device looks like. This happens to be called a flat panel trainer. It's a bunch of networked PCs hooked together. Much of it is touch screen. You can interact with the various instruments, push switches, pull levers, and you'll also notice that some of it is actually physical as well. In this case, on the 747, the mode control panel and the thrust quadrant and the parking brake and the speed brake and the flap lever and the thrust levers and the fuel control switches, all of that is actually physical that you can operate. But you'll notice there is no, you might be able to see it here, there's no control column, there's no rudder pedals. The airplane is designed to fly just like the real airplane, but it auto takeoffs itself. And then, of course, we can do an auto land at the completion of the period. The flat panel trainer is designed to learn the systems, to learn the flow patterns, to learn the checklist usage, and to learn the things that are necessary prior to actually getting into the full flight simulator and advancing through your training. For us, since we don't have a flat panel trainer or an FTD, flight training device, we do have various platforms that we can use. and one of them is called the Aeroinks PSX. It's probably one of the more advanced simulation devices out there. It is one of the more expensive platforms out there. There are other airplanes you can use. You can use any airplane simulation for this course. You could use a PMDG, which has excellent 747 models. But in my opinion, the most advanced model is this Aeroinks PSX for the 747-400. For the 747-8, we use PMDG because the platform for Aeroinks does not have a 747-8 model associated with it. And pretty much anything that I could do in the flat panel trainer with an airline or with a manufacturer, I can do in this Aeroinks PSX in the form of the training exercises that are required. The flight training device training elements, primarily the emphasis here is on normal procedures, flight deck preparation, checklist usage, normal takeoffs, which we can do in the Aeroinks PSX because we have a joystick, and we have, some people may have rudder pedals, I don't, but I just have a joystick and I have a thrust lever that I can use. But we can take off the airplane using the joystick and thrust levers, unlike an FTD or the flat panel trainers, which have none. And then once you're airborne, it's usually training consists of auto flight practice, FMS navigation practice, setting up for the approaches. We do precision approaches, non-precision approaches, missed approaches, non-normal procedures, the use of the quick reference handbook, some flight profiles, systems integration training. Systems training can be incorporated as well in certain programs. In this one, it's not too much, but we do get into systems for some of the bonus videos that I give. And we use Boeing procedures are used for the course. That's primarily where most airlines start, and that is with Boeing procedures. And then they will modify them if necessary to suit their airline philosophy and their airline training culture. And then they will update checklists and procedures and things like that if they determine they need to do that. Some airlines, especially smaller ones, will use Boeing procedures as is. Other airlines that are bigger will be checked out by Boeing, but then they'll go ahead and make their own determination as far as how they want to train it, what they want on the checklist, and it has to blend in with the rest of their fleets. And for fleet commonality, they may have bigger training departments, bigger procedures departments, and so they can then tailor it to their own particular airline and add or subtract things that they want to teach from the standard Boeing course. But we're going to use pretty much the standard Boeing course because that's the starting point for most carriers. The PMDG 747-8 has the NG FMC, the next generation FMC. The Legacy is kind of the early FMC, and the next generation is a later style FMC, which is updated. The Aeroinks, again, is the core simulator program that we're going to use for the 747-400, and that has both the ability to simulate the Legacy FMC and the next generation FMC. And we kind of, most of the program is involved with the Legacy FMC, but there are several lessons where we use the next generation FMC to explain the differences. Any model 747 can be used to accomplish and practice the tasks that I'm going to be teaching. The recommendations would be for either the Aeroinks or the PMDG, but anything that simulates somewhat accurately the 747 can be used. The FTD PCFS training consists of lessons 1 through 10, and those are on the 747-400 and the Aeroinks. And then FTD PC DF 11 and 12 differences training is on the 747-8. So the core program is the 400, and then there's 2 days of differences training on the Dash 8. And then the Dash 8, if you have a 747 type rating, that would be for the 747-400, And then if you have the differences training, that would also incorporate the Dash 8 certification as well. It's 12 lessons total over a 6-month period. That's what we did from January till June. And there's a lesson brief and then a virtual flight simulator period. So there's a total of 4 lessons per month or 1 per week. One brief, 1 flight, and then another brief and another flight, and typically in a month period. And so all 12 periods will take 6 months to complete. We still have many people in Class 1 that have not completed the program. They're still going through it at their own pace, and that's fine. I figured 6 months was a good time span for people to be able to watch the material, absorb the material, and perhaps try some of these scenarios themselves. Everybody's on a different timetable. Some people, or many people, work, and this is kind of a side program. And so for many people, they're still in the program, even though we've completed it. In terms of the completion of all 12 videos, most people are still in various stages of completing the program. So the monthly video training periods consists of a lesson briefing that on average lasts from 1.5 to 2 hours. That would be typically done on week 1. The flight training device time is on average 2 to 2.5 hours, and that would be on week 2. And then week 3 and 4 would be a new brief and a new flight, and that would round out the month. So it'd be 2 complete lessons, 1 brief, 1 flight, 1 brief, and 1 flight. The links are sent monthly. 4 links are sent a month with the Patreon program. Or as an option, the entire course can be purchased from day 1. The Patreon membership itself consists of a full captain or CA membership. We used to have a captain, cruise captain, and first officer tiers. I found that the cruise captain and first officer, nobody joined them because the price was so reasonable for the captain that everyone joined the captain tier. So I've done away with the first officer tier, and I've done away with the cruise captain tier, and we're left with 1 level, and that's the full captain level, or CA. The one-time purchase does offer price discounted Discord access. The Patreon membership does include Discord access as part of the monthly membership fee. But the one-time purchase is a one-time purchase of the program, and then there is the ability to join the membership via Discord at a very, very cheap and reasonable price. The purpose of Discord is primarily to hold all the course materials, to have an aviation community of like-minded pilots, and to hold all the files for the AeroWinks PSX and for all the channels that we have on the server for the SSFT Discord SOC server. This is what Discord looks like if you're not familiar with it. The server would be there on the left side, SSFT, which is subsonic flight training. Next to that would be all the channels. I think we have, not sure what we have now, maybe 10 channels. Things like course materials, full captain recordings, Boeing news, student videos, things like that. In the middle section there is the chat area, or the area that will contain files in the case of course materials. That's what you're looking at here is the course material channel. That's where you find all the digital course materials that are available for download as PDFs. And then on the right side is the members area, the members that are inactive or active on Discord at that time. Again, the Discord membership is included with Patreon. It is optional with the full one-time course purchase, but it's very cheap, and if you want the course materials, then you'll find that you want to join the Discord access. When you're at the full captain level, which is the highest level, the digital training materials and handouts are included. These materials include the following for the FTD PCFS 1 through 10 and the differences training 11 and 12 periods. So For all 12 periods, you have the training materials for the lesson overview and lesson objectives, the flight plan performance, the weather and the clearance for that particular lesson, the lesson event flight sequence, how that flight sequence will appear on a lesson event chart or map that includes where the lesson events take place. And then there's optional review and homework assignments given for each lesson. This is what the lesson objectives looks like. In this case, it's for period 11. And that would include both the lesson overview and the lesson objectives. Here we're looking at the lesson objectives. There will be a flight plan performance, weather, and clearance sheet that would be our flight plan. And this would be in absence of having a real flight plan. All the information that's necessary for entering into the CDU or controlled display unit would be listed here, as well as what the weather and the clearance are going to be, and the routing for that particular lesson. The lesson event flight sequence would be listed here, what the main lesson events are for that particular lesson, and listed numerically from 1 through, in this case, through 13 for lesson 3. And then, of course, there'd be a map associated with it that would have the lesson items depicted on the map and where they will, those lesson events would appear in the sequence of flying that route from point A to point B, for example. In this case, it's an early lesson, FTD 2, so it actually starts out at Boeing Field, in this case KBFI, and ends up at Boeing Field. We're not going from A to B in this case, but it will list where the main training events on the lesson event sheet will appear on the map as we fly the lesson. Then there's optional review and homework assignments. This will be, if desired, you could review for the next period, and you could also review what was done for this period, and then you will have the ability to perform a homework assignment if desired, and you could provide a unlisted video to YouTube and link to the student video Discord, and then that can be anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes or however long you want, but it would be a private unlisted YouTube video to show your work to other students. And we had quite a few students participate in that. Quite frankly, they didn't do it for too long because they determined that it's a lot of work actually to produce a video and then upload it and edit it and things like that. So this is completely optional whether you want to do this. Some people want to. I would encourage to do the lessons. They don't necessarily have to be recorded, but I would encourage you to fly the profile. But those that are ambitious and know how to do so, you could record yourself flying portions of the lesson or the whole lesson or whatever the homework is, and then put that homework on the student video page for others to see. And we did, like I said, we did have some people do that, and some people did it for maybe 2 or 3 periods and then decided, well, this is maybe a little more time and effort that I want to put into it. And then they maybe stopped, and that's okay. Like I said, they gave it a shot. We had 1 or 2 students that actually did quite a bit of the homework assignments, not necessarily all of it, and but they found it to be a lot of work. So it's something that I encourage you to fly the profile, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you have to do the homework. Like I said, completely optional, not required, and your certificate of completion would come whether you do the homework or not. The full captain line of training consists of, the full course is intended to be 6 months long, and each month there's 4 lessons per month. That will consist of a briefing for example, lesson 1, and then a simulator period for lesson 1 the next week, and then a briefing period for lesson 2, and then a simulator period for lesson 2. So there's 2 complete lessons per month, or 4 total lessons per month. The lesson briefing on average is 1.5 to 2 hours, and the FTD flight portion is about 2 to 2.5 hours on average. The line of training also consists of the 747 study course materials. This would include a 747 digital study guide brochure, the 747 scan flow patterns for both the 400 and the Dash 8, and then a 747 system question bank and answers, which consists of 200 questions and answers on systems for the 747. The digital study guide brochure looks like this. It's something that you can put together at home if you print off these particular sections. And if you do it in color, you could put it together like this, and it provides a kind of a brochure, if you will, of the flight cockpit, the flight deck, including the overhead panel, the forward instrument panel, the aisle stand, and some of the side panels, and also some flow patterns for the airplane, in this case for the Dash 8. Dash 8 flow patterns are very similar to 747-400 flow patterns, but I also give you a study guide for both the 400 and the Dash 8 as well. This is what the front of the study guide looks like. This is what the flow patterns would look like for the 747-8, and again I have these both for the 747-8 and the 747-400. And for the full captain line of training, there also are bonus recorded sessions. There normally would be one or more. I've done more than one on several months per month. And that's for FTD 1 through 10 when you go through the 747-400 FTD, which is months 1 through 5. Each month there is bonus videos that were put out, and they would encompass either non-normal procedures or aircraft systems. The aircraft systems you would also receive a digital system schematic handout, a digital panel and switch descriptions, and the systems that are covered are such as electrical, hydraulic, fuel, air conditioning, pneumatics, flight controls, IRS, communications, ice and rain, fire protection. So systems will be covered as picked by me, and those systems would be incorporated. And I usually tried to alternate between systems and non-normal procedures. So one month it might be systems, the next month it would be non-normal procedures. Non-normal procedures are covered such as engine start, electrical non-normal procedures, cabin altitude rapid depressurization, multiple engine flame out or stall, onboard fire, fuselage fire, FMC non-normal procedures, flight control non-normal procedures, evacuation, landing gear, pneumatics, or unreliable airspeed disagree. Not all of these are included. Obviously, we have 5 bonus videos, and actually there's more than that for the 5 months. But this is a sample of what could be covered, and in many of the cases I have covered a lot of these that are on this particular page. In the full captain line of training, you do get the full captain certificate of completion, and this is what it would look like, and that is sent to you digitally after you complete a 10-question multiple choice test. The idea was that people that did the homework, if they did all the homework, they would be qualified for the certificate of completion. I saw quite clearly that not everybody was going to do the homework, and many people would do some of the homework, but not all of the homework. And so in order to kind of satisfy the fact that it is a certificate of completion, I came up with a 10-question multiple choice test at the end that folks can take, and if they pass all 10 questions with 100%, they'll get this certificate of completion. If they get some wrong, they'll be allowed to say that this one was wrong, this one was wrong, this was wrong. Go back, review, and resubmit, and once it's corrected to 100%, they will get the certificate of completion. So that is a requirement to get the certificate of completion. That is to complete the little 10 question that are questions on the material that was covered during the 6 months that I give the presentations. So for the full captain tier of the Patreon membership monthly cost, what price would you pay for this type of training? The training does consist of 54 hours of edited content. This includes the FTD briefings and the FTD flight periods for FTD periods 1 through 12, again 1 through 10 being the 747-400, and then periods 11 12 being the B747-8 differences. It also includes 8 hours of monthly bonus videos as well. The full captain tier is at $20 a month, and again it is intended to be a 6-month program, and this is in cooperation under the guidelines of Patreon membership. Patreon is the host membership site. They do take a portion of that fee in order for their services. You should also note that all 6 months of attendance are required if you want to obtain the certificate of completion. There's no commitment other than monthly. You can cancel at any time, so if you find that in month 1 or 2 this really is not for me, you can leave. Or beyond the 6 months, you can also continue the membership if you choose to do so. There is also a one-time purchase available. This would include all the FTD videos and all the bonus videos at one time, and instead of being fed to you monthly. In addition to that, there is discounted Discord available as a membership service through buymeacoffee.com. The entire course can be purchased up front via buymeacoffee.com. The one-time purchase price is $150. There are no refunds if you purchase the entire course, and that's because you're obtaining all the links to the unlisted YouTube videos at one time, and you would have those links. So there's no refunds if you do purchase the entire course. Again, in addition to that, if desired, you can purchase the optional discounted Discord member access price, along with that full one-time course price, and that would also give you then access to the digital course materials, in addition to providing the aviation community within Discord, in addition to the AeroInks PSX files, and all the channels that are available on the Discord SSFT SOC server. So this is the same type of training that you would receive if you went through a FTD course for an airline prior to going into full flight training within the simulator. A real FTD is a device which has no visual and no motion. The FTD does serve as a procedures trainer to learn the skills and to become proficient, so that those proficient skills can be transferred into the full flight simulator while you do your flight training. Once the flight training is complete, you take a check ride, and after the check ride is complete, you go out on the line for your initial operating experience. Of course, you can enjoy the same level of training that airline pilots receive, and you can get it for the prime purpose of learning more about the 747, and that will increase your simulation enjoyment and your gaming experience within the airline type airplanes that we enjoy with the technology that we enjoy today. Again, the Patreon membership monthly cost is $20 per month. The entire course one-time purchase is $150. The discounted Discord access along with that, if you choose to do that, is $1 a month. Or you can, another option is to choose the $10 per year. That allows you the access to Discord for the big thing is for the course materials. And now, as a member of the PC Online Flight Simulator community, you can receive the same type of training as airline pilots receive, and you can receive it at a small fraction of the cost. This training normally will run into the thousands of dollars, either paid for by the airline, if you're an employee of that airline going through training, or if you're an individual, it's paid for as part of your type rating cost of getting your type rating. Again, the full captain, $20 per month. One-time purchase is $150 via Buy Me a Coffee. Discounted Discord access is $1 a month or $10 a year. So you can come become a patron on Patreon and train with me on the FTD PCFS 6-month training program for the B747-400 and the B747-8. For the monthly Patreon, you can go to www.patreon.com/subsonic flight training, or if you desire the entire course purchase, then you want to go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Captain Al. And along with that, if you wanted the discounted Discord access for $1 a month or $10 a year, you can go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Captain Al/membership. And that will take you to the monthly Patreon sign-up page or to the Buy Me a Coffee one-time purchase page, in addition to the Discord access as well. So with that, thank you for attending. We look forward to having you in the B747-400, B747-8 FTD PCFS training, and we'll see you on the inside. Captain Al, out.